to Portland in early December.
And it's really hard to top yesterday's competition with all the excitement. Both individual girls race just went wire to wire. Team race for the boys, first time ever for an Idaho boys team. It's going to be an exciting day. I mean, we got a couple of teams that are trying to see if they can get to NXN for the first time or perhaps go back for a second consecutive season, including Wayzata and West Olathe.
Two teams last year that made it automatically out of the Heartland region was Wayzata and the Owls of Olathe, Kansas. First time a team from Kansas has ever made it to Nike Cross Nationals. Settling in, everybody. The gun has been fired. The championship racing is underway in the Heartland in Nike Cross Regionals 2023.
What can we expect from a group like Wayzata, who is such a strong history, not just at the Minnesota level, but at the regional and national level? What can they provide out here? Obviously, without Abby Necki this year and off to Colorado, that's a big low stick to lose, but this is a group that is prepared and just understands what the culture is and what they bring to the table.
Great shot there from the Gator in front, and then now high above, even better shot from our aerial coverage today at Nike Cross Regionals in South Dakota. Look at those flags flying prominently from right to left, so the early tests will be sort of maneuvering through those winds. A little bit easier, quite honestly, when you have a lot of people surrounding you. Some other people are going to take some of that wind if you're tucked in.
The unfortunate thing is that's not going to happen throughout the entire race because that's not just how cross country works. When you're the leader, the majority of it is you're by yourself running on your own. But if in a championship race like this, we could see 5, maybe 6 or 7 girls out front in a hunt for those individual spots because it's up for grabs if your team does not make it.
Well, you can see a great crowd on hand, and that's the other race within the race in cross country. You see them behind that crowd that's gathered along the flagging here as they race from side to side as the girls take their first turn and start to get into this championship racing. On the left side of your screen, we're scrolling through all the individuals that make up all the teams. Again, 2 teams automatically qualify to Nike Cross Nationals, and then this year in a regional format, the 3rd and 4th place teams are afforded the opportunity to be sort of waiting to see if they'll get an at-large bid, and that'll come at the end of these 3 weekends of racing. And also 5 individuals will be invited to Portland as well, and those 5 individuals would be individuals not tied to a team that has qualified.
And a couple of teams really looking for those at-large bids are the Dragoons out of Johnston, Iowa, looking for that first ever berth to NXN, just coming off a 5th place finish last year in this Heartland region. And then another group, Corson Running Club out of Brandon Valley, right here in South Dakota. I mean, big deal for a South Dakota team to go there since you've hosted this meet for so many years.
So 2.5 minutes into the racing here as the action gets underway. That's Caitlin Roop of Kansas, the 5A champion the last 2 years and 13th in this race a year ago, in the middle of picture. And then next to her in the blue, Libby Castelli of the Knights Running Club out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She's the 2A champion and was competing here. This will be her 3rd year competing in this race, trying to make it to Oregon for the very first time. In the lower left of your screen, the athletic course tracker now showing you they're preparing to make another turn as they'll go and work their way along by where that parking area is. But already we got a little bit of a breakaway with a group of about 10 girls in this lead group as they make the turn. Addison Dorenkamp of Running Orange from West Des Moines, Iowa, the Iowa 4A champion, is in there. Bib number 2744 in the orange.
You know, we're talking about all these top returners from last year. Like you said, Drevlo, Dorenkamp, Nora Hushigan we talked about at the beginning of the show, but I want to talk about Libby Castelli and just the improvement that she made from her in her junior season, having wins at Augustana, having wins at the Heartland Preview, getting second at Roy Griak, a really tough course at the University of Minnesota host. She finished 68th last year. And for the fact that she's in a potential spot to qualify as an individual, just make that jump would be huge, not just for her, but perhaps the program and just the encouragement to get more girls to come out for their team.
So Hushagen in the lead now here. We're early on in the championship racing. 5,000 meters the distance. We'll have our first split at the mile mark, but things beginning to kind of just single file line a little bit now as she's starting to push the pace from the front.
We saw Hushagen finish third right behind Castelli actually at Rory Griak earlier this year, but this is someone who was an All-American last year at NXN, finished 20th overall, got to be on that second team. This is a race for her that she's hoping to get the job done, may not necessarily win the race, but just getting back to NXN, because we always know it, just being the second time around, it's never easy, and that's why you race. You test the limits and see what happens out there.
Top returning regional competitor from last year is Sydney Drevlo from Hopkins. And she is in the yellow there among the top 5 or 6 girls here as they, again, work their way around this kind of U-shaped portion of the course and now back running for the stretch here that'll lead them to the mile mark. And for the very first time, we'll have some stats populating for you on the left side of the screen that will give you not only the individuals near the front, but also placings for those team scores as they came through the mile in 5:13.8. Hushagen in the lead, then Roop Castelli and Jolly Hawker Singh. We haven't talked about her yet, but she's from Olathe, trying to get that team back to Nike Cross Nationals. The Kansas 6A champion the last 4 years and was 4th in the Heartland back in 2021. Addison Doornkamp in 5th, and then Drevlo, Peyton Van Diest in 7th, Nora Gremben in 8th, Olivia Verd in 9th, and Kaylee Schultz there in 10th. And again, 5 individuals, their placings, when you remove those unattached athletes, give you your team's score. Top 2 will automatically advance to Nike Cross Nationals. And Olathe right now with Dragoons, this is a very fluid thing, as we found out yesterday, Keenan, because this real-time adjustment of the scoring happens as everyone passes those timing mats. But right now, Olathe trying to make it 2 years in a row. A Kansas team will make it to Nike Cross Nationals after no Kansas team had ever made it before last year.
It seems like they're trying to fit the theme with like Idaho yesterday, making their first ever Nike Cross Nationals, but really putting the test there with Wise Zada, and just if they're able to pull off an upset like that, I mean, that would be not just a huge thing for the school, but a big thing for Kansas, just to show that, yes, Minnesota has dominated this meet for so long, but the state of Kansas, not just Rock Chalk Jayhawk down there for Kansas basketball or anything, but really it's a running state down there.
We'll see if Wayzata's taking a cautious approach. We saw a similar strategy that worked out really well yesterday in the Northwest region when one of the squads, Prospect Park from Oregon, kind of slowly and steadily moved its way back up and eventually won that girls' title, advancing to Nike Cross Nationals in their home state in early December. High above the race course here in South Dakota, Yankton Trail Park has been the site of this regional for a long time. They passed that finish line, start line area for the first time and make their second loop of this 5,000-meter course.
And this was the part I was talking about early on when they go around for the second time and they see that finish line. They're roughly about 607 meters out or so. And really, that's just who's mentally the strongest, because you can see the finish line there. You know you're almost done. It's just really putting in that last effort to get to the finish.
Hushagen and Roop right now, 1 and 2.
You can also see Hawker Singe from the Prairie Street Harriers. Actually, she's from the other Olathe North team, other than the Olathe West, of course. But like you said, 4-time state champion in Kansas at the 6A level. That's an incredible accomplishment.
With those flags blowing, maybe the only advantage the athletes are getting right now is when they make some of those turns. The crowd's so thick and so many rows back, kind of helping deflect that wind. But now they're back in the open and going to battle through this stretch of the course as what we got, let's call it 7 girls there now in that lead group, beginning to thin out just a bit, and a pretty solid stretch of open ground between, say, like 8th position and the next chase group.
And you're really starting to see just these 3 girls out front starting to pull away, now go over this hill. And then there's now a second pack, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, that are trying to establish themselves. But like you said, Paul, they're not really as much separation, but it seems like that front group's really trying to push the pace and get away from them.
9 minutes into the race here in South Dakota as Nora Hushagen from Forest Lake, Minnesota. The Minnesota 3A champion continues to lead this race over the Kansas 5A champion, Caitlin Roop, and the Kansas 6A champion, Anjali Hawker Singh. As you look at the rest of the field getting over that little rise and fall in the middle of the race course, but for the most part, a very flat and fast track here in South Dakota for the racing on this day. A little bit of a single stretch here as you look again at the athletic course tracker. They're going to make their move around by that parking lot here and closing in on what will be our next chance to reset the order and reset the team order in scoring as they'll come through the 2-mile mark shortly.
And you talk about just the flat course, but with a little bit of the rolling hills. Last year's results, fast. The top 5, 17-17 or faster. Of course, Abby Nekanecki winning in 16:44. Peyton Noe, now at Arkansas, thriving for the Razorbacks, ran 17:02. Jade Reipkema, now at Gonzaga, 17:09. Lots of talent comes out of the Heartland region, and perhaps, may not necessarily see a sub-17 performance today, although anything really can happen. We'll see what the 2-mile split comes up here pretty shortly.
I think that's Libby Castelli back there in 4th position, running all by herself, trying to get some contact, hoping maybe one of these top 3 in the lead pack will fall out the back and give her somebody to start to target on and get herself back into the mix for a top 3, perhaps even a chance to win this race before it's done. Running out of time, however, in the backside of this championship race in South Dakota, Hushagen is continuing to lead, but still feeling and hearing the footsteps behind as she makes another turn.
And Libby Castelli, like you talked about, just right in that position. She's in a weird spot. She's in between 2 packs. It's like, okay, if I fall back, they can help me out a little bit. If I go forward, they can definitely help me out a little bit. So it's whether or not she has to decide right now where to go, but she's going to have to make a decision at some point during this race.
Well, now you can see the delta between the top 3 of Hushagen, Hawker Singh, and Roop and Castelli. It's about 6 seconds off the lead. Grenben, part of that group behind, but now a little bit of separation from her and Dorenkamp as we continue to keep an eye on some of those top individuals. Again, 5 individuals will get invites to Nike Cross Nationals if they are not connected to a team that advances on the team side. And those team scores will begin to populate here shortly once the major part of the field begins to go in. Those parentheses up above also showing you the number of runners that have been scored so far. So Highland Park, this is, kind of the complexity and the intrigue of cross country. You can have 2 running really well, which clearly Highland Park is, but it's where your 3, 4, and 5 end up crossing the line that'll make the difference on the team side.
It's nice to have those low 6, but like you said, if you don't have the depth back there to back it up, that's an issue. And a lot of teams suffer that in the end when it comes to really, when everything's so tight at the finish line and trying to calculate everything. That's where it really boils down to, those 5th runners. Heck, sometimes if it's the 6th and 7th trying to break off the other team's 5th runner.
Well, and we've seen this happen before at the top of the list now with all 5 of their scoring athletes across the line. Wayzata trying to add another trip to Oregon, part of a legendary team out of this region that has performed so well over the years and consistently so. Olathe now, after leading at the 1st mile split, now trying to hold on for that 2nd automatic spot, and Dragoons in 3rd. Currently, these all unofficial as we continue to get those athletes scored.
I'm looking at Hushagen right now. She's starting to pull away, and we're starting to see that talent and that speed that she provides out there. But going back to the team side, those spreads are amazing. 24 seconds for West Olathe, and then Wayzata able to have 36 seconds. Again, just shows you how good of a program that really is.
Good shot of the lead group of girls here now as we've reached 13 and a half minutes. Hushagen, you can see it in her face, just trying to push the pace as much as she can, and she's starting to be advantaged, and we're starting to see a little bit of a compression between those other places in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but Hushagen continues to try to put the rest of the field away here in the closing stretches of this race.
And here comes the tough part of the race, right at the very end. You're not quite there yet, but you can see the finish line to your left, and all those folks are cheering you on. The flags are blowing. You might be able to be pushed a little bit by that wind as well. perhaps that could play a factor into it. But look at this. I mean, great aerial view of where their girls are at, and you're going to be able to see where that finish line is just momentarily. And obviously a great job by our athletic course tracker as well to make sure everyone sees where everyone's at.
Yeah, once they come alongside the start line, they'll make a turn. You can see now that finish line, so that's a little bit of a gift for Hushagen, who can now sense and maybe put that energy and motivation into her legs for these final few meters to the finish line. The crowd has gathered, waiting to help her home. The race behind her for second, third, and fourth, still looking good as well. Roop trying to hold on for second, as Hawker Singh has been among the top three there for a while, but a race shaping up behind there for the other places behind Hushagen.
We're starting to see, we'll figure that out eventually. I mean, it's hard to see with just the bibs back there and just, like I said, hard to see. But Hushagen, of course, just developing a great race right now. Perhaps Roop, though, she might be getting chased down right now as well for that second place position.
"15 minutes elapsed on the clock here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Going to crown a champion here in mere moments. The first of our 2 championship races before we head to the Midwest and Indiana. Been such great racing so far in these regionals. Just 2 regionals in 3 consecutive weekends of regional coverage before we bring you live coverage in early December of Nike Cross Nationals. The Gator makes that hard turn, and so does Hushagen now, and it's now all she needs to do. She'll start to see the finish line coming up. There's just a slight little bend in the closing stretches of this race, and the battle behind her is still pretty good, but Hushagen still needs to get home.
She really just needs to go to the arms right now. Just stay focused. Don't worry about what's going on behind you. Just focus on what's ahead of you. You have one more turn, and then it's all into the home straight away.
And here's that last turn that she's got to maneuver. Wind almost directly in her face here as she makes that turn. And into the home stretch now.
Look at Caitlin Roop right here, seeing if she can catch up. Hushagen is struggling right here down this home straightaway, and that lead is just decreasing down this home stretch.
Yeah, you really saw it from high above. What we're going to have here in terms of a finish in the closing stretches. Can Caitlin Roop pull one out here at the end? Hushagen trying to hold on for the victory here in South Dakota, but look at Roop, strong to the arms. Hushagen and Roop, stride for stride for a NXR championship, and Hushagen's going to hold on by a stride and takes the victory push to the end by Caitlin Roop, and a phenomenal finish here in South Dakota.
Is that a replay of NXR Northwest? Because that was a very similar finish. May have not necessarily neck and neck like it was towards the end, but I mean, Roop made a tremendous charge right there, and for her to almost come away with an NXR title would have been awesome for Kansas, but hey, going to NXN.
And Nora Gremben had a nice close as well. She winded up in 3rd position. Libby Castelli 4th, and Jolly Hawker Singh in 5th. So those would be the 5 that would be invited as individuals. Now we wait to see what happens on the team side as everyone starts to come through. Again, the first 5 of your teams to the line will constitute your team score, as our champion here, Hushagen, gets some congratulations, and that tattoo on the cheek says it all. Finish on empty.
They truly did finish on empty, and I'll give credit to Caitlin Roop. I would guess about maybe 20 meters or so, about 400 to go, going to that hairpin turn. Perhaps could have just shut it down. Let's just get ready for NXN. I know I'm going to be moving on. She hammered it down, because similar finish to last year in the boys championship race with Jackson Heidish and Simeon Birnbaum, which we can talk about that race when we get to the boys championship race, but just an unbelievable finish. These last 2 races we've had for girls championships, Heartland, Northwest, great. It's just a great job all around.
So waiting for those parenthesis numbers to reach 5, and then those scores will be unofficially final, as the top 2 teams will get automatic invitations to Nike Cross Nationals in early December. Everyone flying through the line. Everyone still using their watches. I again, we're timing the race for you. You don't have to use your watch.
I think I saw a tweet a couple weeks ago where, and I think it was Paul Chalimo just said, leave your watch at home and just go race. And a lot of people are like, no, I like having my watch. I like keeping track.
Well, back to the days of Bill Bowerman, just trying to find every ounce you could take off the body, because for every ounce you had, it was talking about weight and the impact that it has over racing. I think for some, probably this is, again, a record that they want to keep individually, and we'll be posting it somewhere to show that they had a chance to compete in this amazing event. The Nike Cross Regionals in the Heartland is always a fabulous event. The organizers here and all the regionals do just such a great job and making it all about the athletes and the experience here, and what an experience these folks have all had. We now see Olathe in second. We saw Wayzata unofficially currently the leader in the team's score, but right now let's hear from our champion with Olympian Val Constein.
Honestly, if you have no idea, to run the whole race, like some people have literally every with all the people cheering, like during the world, you can't tell what people was. I was just some people right behind me, and I just had to go. That's amazing. And then I noticed there right at the end, it looked like you had a jolt of energy to kind of get past that girl at the line. What was going through your mind? How did you find that extra strength there right at the end? Well, it's like you've pushed so hard already. It's like you feel like you just want to throw up and stop, and like your legs are just done. But at that point, it's like I've worked so hard all season, all summer, like everything I've done. And this is really just the icing in the cake, but being that close, I'm like, I found the extra gear. Wow, that is so inspirational. Okay, so now you're headed off to Portland, right, to go race at the Nationals. How does that feel, and what are you most looking forward to when you get to Oregon? I'm super grateful to have the opportunity to go again. I was so fortunate to be able to go last year. And my favorite part, honestly, was making all these great connections with the people in this sport, because I just love how genuine people are. Like beforehand, we'll be like, hey, good luck today, and we actually mean it. But as soon as the gun goes off, everybody's running for themselves. Like, they're not going to let you pass them, obviously. But as soon as you're done, it's all hugs. Everybody's so happy. I just am really happy to make new friends at Nationals. That's amazing. And do you have any words of encouragement for kids who maybe want to get into running or maybe had a rough day today? What would you say to those kids today? I mean, there's so many factors that goes into every run, every race, like even ones you can't control. Like, for example, it was hotter today. And really, there's so many factors, and just keep getting at it. One day you'll rise up. Wow, thank you so much. Great job today. Enjoy this victory, and we'll see you in Portland. Thank you so much. Back to you, Paul.
Thanks very much, Val. Great job in capturing that moment. I have to, you can tell they're from the Heartland when they say that was a balmy day, and conditions, you had to deal with the temperatures there. But what a job that our champion Nora Hushhagen did out of Forest Lake, Minnesota. As, again, Minnesota, one of the strongest states in this region, and not only do they get the top individual going now back to Nike Cross Nationals, but we'll hear for a moment from Wayzata, who for the seventh time will be making an appearance at Nike Cross Nationals as a team. 7 times, I feel like it gets better every time. Like, you would think, oh, we get tired of it, it's whatever. No, I mean, every time it just gets better. It's kind of like Alabama winning all those national titles in football. Coach Saban probably never gets tired of winning that. It's just winning is part of their culture, and that's just what they do at that program. As you see those top team scores at the top, Olathe appears now to be heading to their second consecutive Nike Cross Nationals, and maybe we'll be inspired by Wayzata, who back in 2013 actually won it all. So the Heartland has performed very well on the national stage, and will send 2 good teams. Dragoons and Running Orange now will have to play the waiting game, as they would be afforded an opportunity to also advance to Nike Cross Nationals. They'll take 4 additional at-large teams from all the regions, but those decisions will be made once the final regionals are held in 2 weeks from now with the Northeast in New York. And I'll give credit to Dragoons. They ran as good as they could today. I mean, they obviously have faced a team like Wayzata already this season at the Roy Griak when they finished second to them. It's just
It's one of those situations where it's like, okay, maybe we're in, perhaps we're not, but you gotta come feeling good out of this meet and just what you've accomplished, just on the verge of potentially seeking your first berth ever to Nike Cross Nationals, and to follow the teams that have already been there. That's okay, and it's going to help you guys pursue something in the future and try to get to the national level.
So keep scrolling through some of these results, both on the team side and as well on the individual side. I hope you can pick out one of the athletes you've tuned in for to see how they finished off their season. If they didn't get through either as an individual or as a member of a team, the one team that put it all together, running in the footsteps of some legendary teams over the years at Wayzata, they arrive again and walk away a champion there with Val.
So we're here with the winning team. Wow, ladies, back to back. That's pretty special. What does it mean to be the defending champs? And then how did you overcome that and then just win today? How did that work?
So we came into this season having a really new team. We only have 2 returners here today, but we knew that if we focused all season on working hard and building a really good team culture, that could get us really far, and we focused a lot on total team effort, and we talked a lot today that if we ran together, trusted each other, we were going to do big things.
That's amazing. Well, I feel like this team has a really good dynamic. You guys all did some pretty special stuff leading up to this, and then even today, your color coordination is amazing. Yesterday you showed me that you all got matching nails, so there they are, so cute, orange and pink, hard to miss. So today, obviously the weather was a lot better than last year. So did you do anything to prepare for today because of the difference in weather?
No, we kind of just came out here. We were actually really lucky to have this weather today. When we were running here yesterday, we were like, wow, this is awesome. It should change from other years. And we kind of just knew it was nice. We were blessed with good weather. Good things were going to happen.
That's amazing. All right, so now you're headed to nationals. That's exciting. Are you guys looking forward to anything in particular in Portland?
Yeah, you got it.
Well, so I haven't been to Portland, but I saw some of the other girls like Aubrey and Allie, they've already gone. And it's just been super fun, like the party kind of like afterwards the race, and of course just like having the opportunity to run with people from like all over the country who are so amazing, and just getting that opportunity to share that experience all together sounds really fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Wow, that sounds super cool. So what advice would you give to other teams who maybe wish that they were in your position? How would you help them get to where you guys are now?
Like we said before, we just really prioritize like team building and stuff like that, and it just feels like we're so like deeply connected with one another. We spend so much time together, and we really just like take every opportunity to bond more and more together. So I would just say, just trust in each other, work together, and live in the moment.
Wow, so inspirational. You guys did great today, and I can't wait to see you all in Portland in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Val. What a phenomenal finish we had to that girls' championship race. Caitlin Roop just could not catch our 2023 champion, Nora Huschhagen, as she takes the victory in the Heartland. Congratulations to Wayzata and Olathe advancing as teams, and we're only halfway home. The boys' championship race is next.